So the screen is visible.
Right, good afternoon. I am ready. Tell me when to start.
Yes, sir, you can start.
I can start?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We had left at She-Box, just 4-5 slides. After that, this section will be over. Then we'll come to the next section, that is monitoring. Now see, can you all hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Perfectly.
Yes, sir. You are clearly audible.
She-Box is a platform for female employees to file complaints electronically. The Indian Ministry of Women and Child Development, hereafter I'll call it as WCD, had launched an online complaint platform named She-Box, S capital, H capital, E is small, which stand for Sexual Harassment Electronic Box. She-Box has been introduced to allow female employees or visitors a platform to raise complaints of sexual harassment at the workplace. This facility has also been extended to private sector employees. She-Box, which can be accessed at www.shebox.nic.in, seeks to ensure effective implementation of Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act 2013. It's not changing. She-Box aims at providing speedy redressal of sexual harassment complaints. In the event that a formal complaint is lodged with the She-Box, based on an assessment of the complaint, the WCD will direct such complaint to the employer's ICC or the LCC as the case may be. The WCD also proposes to actively monitor the progress of inquiry conducted by the ICC/LCC and keep the complainant updated. She-Box also proposes to work as a repository. Repository means a storehouse, receptacle. Repository providing information related to dealing with workplace sexual harassment complaints. The users are free to access the resources available on the She-Box for creating awareness. The WCD promises to ensure that the identity of the aggrieved woman complainant is kept confidential. You see, any aggrieved woman lodges a complaint, it means it is open now like a dictionary to the whole world to see it. But her name will be kept hidden. Her identity will not be disclosed. Only case will be told in some ABC institute, DEF lodged a complaint against XYZ, and this is where the progress has taken place. This is how the inquiry is progressing. This is what are the findings. This is what the punishment is, and so on. So, mind you, it's a very big disadvantage also. You don't want to share people. People will come to know. They will guess it. This must have been at so and so institute. This must be a case of so and so company. This must be so and so. How it is progressing. How things are being investigated, and so on. The WCD promises to ensure that the identity of the aggrieved woman complainant is kept confidential. She-box. It's a safe workplace in every woman's right. She-box provides a single window access to every woman to facilitate the registration of complaint related to sexual harassment. Is irrespective of her work status, can be used by any woman facing sexual harassment at workplace to register their complaint. Once submitted, complaint is directly sent to the concerned authority. This is the flow chart. First box, go to the website She-box NIC in. Second box, click register your complaint on the register your complaint tab. Third, choose whether you are government or private employee. Fourth box, in case you are a government employee, you need to select whether you work for the central government or the state government. Fifth, fill up the registration form on the website itself. Sixth, confirm the registration process using your email ID. And the seventh box is keep track of the progress of your complaint. You can keep seeing your complaint, where it has reached, what is happening, and so on and so forth. Beautiful thing to know it electronically. Salient features of this thing. Provide a single window access to every woman in government or private service to facilitate the registration of complaint related to sexual harassment. Is irrespective of work status, right? Salient features of She-box I am reading. Third is can be used by any person facing sexual harassment at workplace to register his or her complaint accessing the Ministry of Women and Child Development site www.shebox.nic.in. There is a choice to register the complaint either in English or in Hindi language. Once submitted, complaint is directly sent to the concerned authority by the WCD ministry. Requisite pro forma for registering the complaint is as shown in the following 4 slides. This is a pro forma. I have tried to put it in 4 different slides, though it's a 1-page pro forma, but I couldn't type out all things clearly, so I have split it into 4 parts. Ministry of Women and Child Development, Government of India, Shastri Bhavan, New Delhi 11, New Delhi 1. First tab is choose language. You want to choose English or Hindi, whichever is your choice. If you choose Hindi, you have to fill up everything in Hindi. If you fill up English, you have to fill up everything in English and deal for future time till it is over in English only. She-box online complaint management system. If you are facing sexual harassment at workplace, register your complaint, view status of your complaint, or you want to just talk to us. 3 tabs are there. Whichever is applicable to you, you have to choose it. Register your complaint, view status, or talk to us. Then there's just a figure there, private employees, a safe workplace is every woman's right. This is just nothing. Online complaint form. The star mark columns are compulsory to be filled. If any star mark column is not filled, it will not take on further tabs. It will not open up further tabs for you. Name of the complainant, designation, mobile number of her, email ID, Aadhaar number. Aadhaar number is optional. If you have Aadhaar number, mention it. Otherwise, not a compulsory thing. Second is about the organization where this incidence of sexual harassment has taken place. Name of the organization, mobile number of the organization office, email ID, contact person or head of that organization to whom they should contact, which state it is, which district it is, and what is the official address of that institute. Name of the accused/respondent, designation of accused/respondent, working relationship of the complainant with the accused/respondent. Have you registered your complaint with ICC? Either you choose yes or no, whichever tab is applicable. If you are going with G box, then naturally it will be no. Brief description and enter the text here. Though I have just left two line blank here, brief description has about half a page of blank where you write in a nutshell your story, your complaint in a brief manner. And next one page is available. Enter your text here. You want to enter text in 4 pages, attach white paper with it as much as you want. Here I have just left 3-4 lines just to make you understand. Enter the text here in English or Hindi, whatever you have chosen. You submit this complaint by clicking on submit. If you want to resubmit by amending the previous complaint, then you say resubmit. Understood? She box, anybody having any doubt? That is all she box is. A very good innovation by the Ministry of Work, Women and Child Development. Anybody, any doubt can subsequently ask me when we come to question answer session. Here we finish this section. We now come to the next section, which is monitoring mechanism. Section 5. Let's see what does monitoring involve. This section refers to the ways in which application of the Act at all workplaces is monitored. Monitoring is a way to ensure compliance of the Act on the ground. As an additional means of monitoring, the Act mandates the submission of annual reports with specific information as well as specific consequences where compliance is lacking. The Act authorizes appropriate government to monitor the implementation of the Act. As per the Act, appropriate government means in relation to a workplace which is established, owned, controlled, wholly or substantially financed by funds provided directly or indirectly. If the funds are directly provided and controlled by the central government or the urban territory administration, it will be the central government. But if the control and finance and everything is in the hands of state government, then it will be a state government. In relation to any workplace not covered under subclause 1 above and falling within its territory, the state government will take care of it. Thus, to monitor the Act, the appropriate government has the authority to undertake any of the following 3 measures. One is inspection, second is annual report, and third is penalty. Basically, monitoring mechanism is confined to these 3 aspects: inspection, annual report, and penalties. First, we come to inspection. In relation to workplace sexual harassment, when it is the public interest or the interest of women employees, every employer, public district officer can be ordered by the appropriate government, which will be either the state government or the central government, to make available any information, record, or document, including opening its workplace for inspection relating to the same. Clear? Second aspect is annual report. As per section 21 of the Act and rule 14 of the PoSH rule, annual report has to be prepared. The appropriate government is entrusted with the monitoring of the implementation of this act and for maintaining the data on the number of cases filed and disposed of under it in each calendar year. In particular, the Act mandates submission of an annual report by the ICC or LCC to the employer/district officer. The report of the ICC will be forwarded to the district officer through the employer. The district officer will forward a brief report Such reports must include the following information: number of complaints received, number of complaints disposed of, number of cases pending for more than 90 days, number of workshops, awareness programs or such MDPs carried out, nature of action taken by the employer or the district officer. Third aspect, non-compliance penal consequences. Under section 26 of the PoSH Act, there is a penalty to the extent of rupees 50,000 where the employer fails to constitute a complaint committee, fails to act on the recommendation of the complaints committee, fails to file annual report to the district officer, contravenes or abets contravention of other provisions of the Act or any rules made therein under. For example, under section 19C, it says periodically training program, MDPs, guest lectures on sexual harassment of women covering PoSH Act will be carried out for sanitizing. Now, if somebody has not conducted anything in last 1 year, naturally 50,000 bill will come. And then you keep doing rigmarole all over again. 50,000 gone and still you have to conduct the workshop. In the event of repeated non-compliance, that is repeatedly first time 50,000 de diya, repeatedly second time or third time it's happening, every repeated time twice the punishment imposed on the first conviction. That means second time if you get caught, it will be 1 lakh. Cancellation / withdrawal / non-renewal of license registration for carrying out the business or activity. Third type of punishment will be double the fine, of course, 1 lakh for not conducting such workshop. The other thing is the license of the organization or company or college may be cancelled since you are not complying with all the instructions laid down by the government. So this is the punishment. 6-step approach to effective monitoring. Converting all the anti-sexual harassment concept into practice involves constant monitoring and adapting to changing circumstances. As a start, 6 simple steps to keep in mind and practice in any workplace should involve the following. Step 1 is make sure there is a policy that has been effectively communicated to all workers, irrespective of whether they are paid or they are volunteers. Second point, display details of both informal and formal ways available to a worker to address the complaint about workplace sexual harassment. Third, undertake orientation on workplace sexual harassment for all workers in a respective organization, establishment, or institutions. Fourth, a complaints committee which is trained in terms of skill and capacity is critical for building the trust. Fifth, encourage senior persons, leaders, supervisors, or any person who can influence employment-related decisions to become role models. Sixth, Men and women should be included in building a culture which no longer tolerates workplace sexual harassment. Monitoring by the employer himself. Submission of annual report under section 21 of the Act. What are the total number of cases received? Number of cases disposed of? Number of cases pending for more than 90 days? Number of workshop awareness programs MDPs against sexual harassment carried out by that organization? Nature of action taken by the employer or district officer. In inspection, make available any information, records, or document, including physical inspection of the workplace. Mention in the director's report. In a private sector, annually director report goes to the director. That in the report, all these details have got to be mentioned. Making the complaint committee accessible for all workers. Here, complaint committee means in your college organization, it is ICC, Internal Complaint Committee. In a country like India, where 93% of the labor force are said to be in the unorganized sector, it's a challenge to ensure that the act is implemented at all levels and to ensure that all workers have access to the complaint committee to file a complaint. Mind you, it's such a mind-boggling figure, 93%. It's only 7% people who are working in an organized sector, in a company, in a MNC, in a sanstha, in a college, in a campus. You college, GL Bajaj College, it comes under that 7%. There are 93% people who are unorganized sector, who have less than 10 people. Every shop will have less than 10 people in the country. So it is the mind-boggling how to control those 93% people. Are they really going to the LC for any complaint or not? Nobody can really check it practically. Impractical to check up everything. The government needs to monitor the implementation of the Act closely to identify where improvements may be needed. At the same time, members of the committee may explore various ways to make the committee accessible by all workers. Some of the practical measures that may be considered by the committee members are listed below. First point is raise awareness about the complaints committee at all levels in collaboration with organizations working with informal economy workers. Second point, raise awareness about the complaint committee among the officials of the relevant government institution so that they can provide support as appropriate. Third point, develop a network of trained officers at different administrative levels who would provide necessary assistance to workers in filing a complaint. Fourth, collaborate with trade unions or NGOs working at the grassroots level to support assistance to informal economy workers in filing a complaint. Here with this section 5, monitoring, we come to an end, monitoring mechanism. Now we come to section 6, which is miscellaneous aspects. The first thing which I want to cover in miscellaneous aspect is the Me Too movement. You must be wondering who is this hash Me Too and what does it all mean? Me Too is more than just a hashtag. The Me Too movement represents a tidal wave of women standing up for themselves by speaking out against harassment that is still pervasive in many of today's organizational cultures. It was first time the word #MeToo was used in 2006 by a famous American social activist, Tarana Burke. And recently, it was popularized by another American actress, Alyssa Milano, who encouraged women to use this hashtag if they had been ever harassed. Responses flooded in with the number of hashtags climbing into thousands and thousands within few hours. Each #MeToo represents an incidence of harassment, but it is difficult to actually pinpoint. What is India's Me Too movement? Let's confine ourselves to India, though it started in America in 2006 and again picked up momentum in 2008. In India also, in October 2018, it got picked up and Tanushri Datta, the film actress, accused Nana Patekar, the actor who had taken part with her in 2000 film Horn OK Please. The year 2018 saw the rise of #MeToo movement in India. Inspired by global campaign against sexual harassment and assault, women across the spectrum opened up and shared their stories about abuse by men in positions of power. Sathin Bhamri Devi, who is responsible from Rajasthan to bring in Visakha judgment, she and Miss Kavita Srivastava, a very social worker activist who is fighting for Bhamri Devi for the last 29 years to get justice to Bhamri Devi against her gang rape in 1992. They are called as the mothers of #MeToo movement in India. Few months back, there was a stage show in Delhi. Bhamri Devi and Kavita Srivastava came as chief guests. All the young ladies who were participants of that Me Too movement, they were hosting that function. The video is available on YouTube. You can read it. Open the video on YouTube, Me Too movement. Just type the name Sathin Bhamri Devi and Kavita Srivastava, you will get it. Enjoy reading it. She says, she's so determined, so confident. She says, out of the 5, 3 Gujars who had raped me have already died, and High Court of Rajasthan has not yet given its final verdict. She lost initially in the lower court, no doubt. 92 case still lingering on and on in High Court Rajasthan. She said 3 have already died. 4th is so old he will die any day, any moment. 5th one is a young fellow in his about 40 years or so. She says he will not die. She told those young girls, if I die before the punishment is declared, you carry my movement forward. Make sure that he is put to imprisonment for life, at least, if not anything else. Only one fellow who will be left, young boy, who was young at that time, now he is in 40s. Large number of young Indian women who have ever been victimized of sexual harassment are joining in this movement and are opening up by joining with Me Too campaigners. Now, what followed was a series of posts by other women who shared their experience with the world. From actors, film directors to advertising top guns, artists and writers and politicians, women professionals called out obnoxious behavior at the workplace. From unwanted attention in the office to sexual intimacies of derogatory nature on the film sets, there were many kinds of allegations. There are many film artists, lot of popular heroines have joined this Me Too movement because they all feel at one time just to get a role they were sexually harassed, abused, misused by the directors, by the producers, by the film heroes and so on. That's how she got entry into the film line. In October 2018, the Indian Cabinet Minister for Foreign Affairs, Mr. M.J. Akbar, stepped down and quit after 21 women came forward to accuse him of sexual harassment, making him the most prominent figure in India so far to be felled by this #MeToo movement sweeping by storm the world's largest democracy. Amongst these 22 women, the more popular to take a lead was Priya Ramani. Priya Ramani was the first woman to publicly accuse Mr. M.J. Akbar of harassment during work interview dating back to December 1993, a time when he was a prominent newspaper editor. At that time, the minister's accusers were all young women, newly out of the university and badly in need of jobs. Now some of them are among India's most powerful women, heading the newsrooms of 3 English language newspapers in the country, and some of them are working internationally at major outlets abroad. Now what M.J. Akbar, after resigning as a foreign minister, what he did, he has hired a lot of good advocates. Somewhere I read the figure which I couldn't believe myself. 300 advocates hired by M.J. Akbar are fighting against these 22 women that they are trying to defame him for nothing. Now, out of all these 21 women, the main leader, Priya Ramani, has been already acquitted. It was a judgment by Delhi court, Patiala House. You have heard the court here in Delhi, where this case was going on. On 17 February 2021, within few months of October 2008, he had quitted. Within 2 years, that final decision has already come where court takes 20 years to decide. She has been told, you are honorably quitted. Delhi court, what a good judgment. The judgment said that the right to protect one's reputation can't be at the cost of a woman's right to dignity. What beautiful wording judge has written. I have got the cutting of that 17 February newspaper, 18 February when it came. I maintained the cutting and it's available even in my laptop just now as a scanned copy. What a beautiful judgment. He says, minister is worried about his reputation. What about the woman's right to dignity? I think this beautiful judgment will be followed by other judges who are handling the remaining 20 women cases, one after another. Probably most of them will get acquitted. Maybe one odd can't prove it. Rest all will get acquitted. This is my hunch. This is my guesswork. Me Too movement is gaining Me Too movement is gaining momentum in India. The Bollywood famous star Aishwarya Rai Bachchan, she is in the lead. She and many other cinema stars have come forward to lend their support to the many women speaking up about their encounters with sexual harassment. In a recent interview, the actress spoke her mind and expressed how glad she is that the movement has gained momentum today, considering that it has been going on for a very long time. Online reports quote the actress saying that she has always spoken out in the past and will continue to do so. Aishwarya has also pledged to help women find their voice, strength, and confidence to speak up about their stories. She also went on to praise social media for giving victims a platform to come forward with such incidents and have their stories heard, while not commenting on any allegation. In particular, she termed the #MeToo movement as the need of the hour. So much so for #MeToo movement. Suffice for you, I hope you got the hang of it, you got the gist of it. you know what is Me Too movement, where it started, what is happening in India, who are the leaders taking it forward. It's becoming more and more popular every time. And people have no hesitation in joining it. Everybody says, me too, me too, me too. I was also harassed, I was also harassed. The numbers is not to be counted, it's lakhs and lakhs. Now we come to the next thing, which has been added recently by me because of the COVID 1.5 year, where you have been working most of the time online, all classes, all office working, everything is work from home. This was one of the objectives given to me by your organization. So about 25 slides, I'm going to slowly share with you as we have enough time to read it comfortably. Sexual harassment vis-a-vis work from home. It's also popularly called as virtual harassment. The another name given to this harassment is sexual harassment in the new normal. Another name is cyberbullying. Cyberbullying means same thing. Cyberbullying, sexual harassment, the new normal, virtual harassment, online harassment, work from home harassment, one and the same thing. Introduction. We all are constantly connected with each other through social media and applications that have become a backbone for the corporate sector on a daily basis. Although there are many advantages and usefulness of their application, they have also given rise and made it more convenient for the harassers and criminals to keep an eye on their victims. Coronavirus has brought times that one had neither imagined nor experienced. Who had thought that work from home would be a norm of new business world? As per the report by Economic Times, more than 3 million employees are already working from home today. The world has embraced this change with ease and few teething issues, but have figured out of the way of seeing the brighter picture. Tata Consultancy Services recently announced that 75% of their 4.5 lakh employees will work permanently from home, thus reducing TCS infrastructure and facilities considerably. It's quite likely that other companies may also copy the TCS new model, which will bring the subject of cyberbullying into more limelight. The current era of social distancing has unintentionally sparked off a giant global experiment of mass remote working. This restructured working policy might have changed the working pattern of the employees, but the changes have still been the same. One of the major challenges is sexual harassment at the workplace, which continues to be a problem for working women. When corporate India has embraced work from home thanks to the COVID-19 and resulting lockdown, sexual harassment has embraced virtual forms. According to a recent survey, it was found that 32% of the respondents claimed that they were sexually harassed while working from home. These figures indicate the relevance of protecting women from such abuses even during virtual working. At present, the sexual harassment at the workplace is primarily governed by the same PoSH Act 2013. Understanding internet harassment diagrammatically, it's carried out using a computer and internet. Its other name is also cyberbullying. Prevalent at home, school, company, organization, any institution, whichever says work from home. It's prevalent over there. It is defined as the use of the internet to threaten or harass the women folk or other persons. Why sexual harassment is higher in remote environment? The risk of sexual harassment could be higher in remote setting. The risks are further heightened for following multiple four reasons. The first reason is opaque definitions. Employees may believe that company policies and rules about conduct don't apply outside of the physical working environment. People feel we are working from home, not from company office, so we are in a free hand. Keep harassing anybody you like. This is the opaque definition. Taking advantage of something which is not very clear to many people. We will make it very clear after a couple of more slides. When I teach you, you will understand it. It's very much an illegal thing to control. Second point is decreased support. Remote employees often have less access to HR and support when workplace harassment occurs. When it occurs, you say, अरे चलो HR से ही आके बात करते हैं, अपने डिपार्टमेंट हेड को बताते हैं, जाके सीनियर मैम को बताते हैं, कुछ ना कुछ करते हैं आप. घर में आप किसको बताएंगे? You can't share it with your mummy, papa, your brother, sister, your spouse or anybody. So there is a decreased support available when you are getting sexually harassed while working from home. Third point is contributors to poor judgment. While working at home, employees may have more access to alcohol or substances that could contribute to poor judgment and sexual misconduct. For example, for companies with employees that work in different time zones, an employee may be intoxicated during the night time and send inappropriate Slack messages to another employee that is online during her work hours. Mind you, just imagine day and night difference. America is 10 and a half hours behind us. When that man is sitting in office at 8 o'clock in the morning, the time over here is 6:30 p.m. Right? When we are working here at 10 a.m., the time over there is 6:30 p.m. When we are here at 10 a.m., he is in the previous day, night, somewhere around 10 o'clock or so. He may be overdrunk. He may be out of senses because instead of office, he is working from home. And so is Indian person who is working from home. Time difference makes so much difference. When you are sitting in your office, the other man sitting in America at 9 o'clock at night may be drinking heavily in his house and making a tamasha. The next point is access to constant virtual communication. Inappropriate modes of virtual communication also present a significant risk for remote workers. For instance, an employee could call a colleague multiple times every day under the pretext of work, despite the communication not being welcomed, instead of simply sending an email. The employee who wants to harass, he just wants an excuse for some small issue to talk, maybe official issue. He might ring up 10 times, 20 times. Ringing somebody 10 times, 20 times is actually called sexual harassment as per law. If he or she wants, she will return the call. Ki, I saw your missed call. Boliye kya? What's the problem? But if she doesn't respond to your 10 missed call, it means she is no more interested to speak to you. Whatever official work you have, just send a small email and get the answer. It's unnecessarily getting into conversation and prolong the conversation and twist the conversation to sexual harassment. Two categories of sexual harassment. Online sexual harassment falls into two categories. The victim receiving unwelcome material and content that is posted about the victim. Under the first category, the victim receives emails, text, or instant messages that contain sexually explicit words or photos from their harasser. The harasser may encounter the victim with some suggestion, oblique proposal, or send inappropriate images or videos of themselves or others. The second category of virtual sexual harassment include behavior such as comments or rumors about the victim's sexuality, comments or rumors about the victim's sexual activities, sharing sexually explicit photos without consent, using sexual or gender-based derogatory terms to describe the victim. Example of cyberbullying: cyber spreading rumors, sending unwanted email, sending viruses by email, harassing a person using chat, comments, or tweets, sending sexually suggestive messages. There are few common questions that people tend to ask related to virtual sexual harassment vis-a-vis PoSH Act. Let's see which are those 5 questions and let me attempt to answer those. First question comes, the first and foremost question is whether or not the PoSH Act applies in work from home scenario. Basic doubt. People are under the doubt whether PoSH Act applies when working from home scenario, so that is our first doubt. Well, I wish to clarify to you that Section 3 of the PoSH Act provides that no woman shall be subjected to sexual harassment at any workplace. The term workplace is defined in Section 2, subsection O of the same PoSH Act in an inclusive and non-exhaustive manner. It recognizes the fact that sexual harassment may not necessarily be limited to the traditional office setup. Henceforth, it introduces the concept of an extended workplace. To give life to the provisions of this social beneficial legislation, courts have time and again applied the same principle of notional extension to broaden the concept of workplace as extended workplace. Courts are working from home. Ministers are working from home. Prime Minister is taking meeting from home. They are all extended workplaces. If magistrate is sitting in his house and giving orders as if he is sitting in his chamber, it is his extended workplace. Same way, if you are working from home, this is your extended workplace. Then instead of office, you are doing the same work on internet, working from home. Where is the doubt? Hence, the employee's home becomes the notional office for the purpose of this act. Hope question 1 is fully answered by me and it makes some sense to you. Second question: what kinds and forms of sexual harassment can take place in work from home scenarios? In online parlance, sexual harassment inter alia may take following forms. There is a long list. I'll try and read that list for you. Making sexually suggestive remarks or overtones during work calls, serious repeated offensive remarks or such as teasing related to person's body or appearance, indecent behavior during video calls, sexually colored remarks in chats, lewd calls, messages, or emails, offensive comments or jokes, inappropriate questions, suggestions, or remarks about person's sex life, unwelcome online invitations, which we can call it as flirting, displaying sexiest or other offensive pictures, messages, or emails, intimidation, threat, blackmail around sexual favors, threat, intimidation, or retaliation about employees who speak against that harassment, unwelcome advances with promises or threats, explicit or implicit, persistently asking someone for an outing together, online stalking, comments or rumors about the victim's sexual activities, sharing sexually explicit photos without consent, etc. Thus, any conduct or any words with a sexual connotation that interfere with the employee's ability to work or create an uncomfortable atmosphere while working remotely can also be considered sexual harassment. While most of these fall under hostile work environment, these are also instances of quid pro quo sexual harassment where harassers take advantage of employees' fear of losing job for sexual favors. Remember, in the morning session before lunch, I taught you two types of harassment: quid pro quo and hostile work environment. So, all this complete list which I have read out to you, rattled out just now, it could fall under, some could be under hostile work environment, others could be under quid pro quo, that is tit for tat. You do this for me and I'll do this for you. The next important third question: does COVID-19 absolve an employer's responsibility to postpone this compliance? We have said employer is responsible to constitute ICC, investigate, submit report in 90 days. This. Question comes: is there a relaxation during COVID-19 period? We can do it after 1 year or 2 years or 6 months once COVID is over, or it has to be complied with right now? That is the next doubt. Next question. Let's see how I can attempt to answer you. With three pillars of society, which are the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. All three have gone online, even to the extent of hearing the court cases virtually. We don't see any reason or scope for excuse in delaying this mandatory compliance. In fact, during these times, sensitization becomes more relevant and is need that requires immediate attention. I am glad Deepa ma'am has thought of it and has listed this extra thing in her objective for this MDP, which made me prepare this 2025 slide, which I am right now sharing with you. These were not there in my previous lecture because they were all prepared before COVID-19 and delivered partly during COVID-19 time. Right? Doesn't matter. Section 11, subsection 4 of the Act creates a mandate on the organization to complete the inquiry within 90 days. Every possible effort has to be made by the organization to adhere to the provisions of this statute. Delay, if any, has to be reported to the board and then submitted while making annual compliance, referring it as a situation of force majeure with specific reasons in writing that prevented the organization to make the compliance. Force majeure means forcing somebody through the throat, pushing it and putting it in the throat and pushing it. That is force majeure situation. So same way in COVID, we can't postpone. We have to take action within this same laid down 90 days, 60 days, 10 days, whatever are the timelines given to you, explained to you by me. All those have got to be adhered, irrespective whether we are in COVID-19, work from home or whatever it is. Next important question comes, can the hearing be conducted virtually? If Prime Minister can hold Chief Minister's meeting virtually, if major decisions of the government can be taken virtually, why can't the hearing be conducted virtually? That's our next doubt. Why can't the inquiry be conducted virtually? Let's see. Considering the situation in hand, how it is being viewed globally, laying down a framework of work environment that can be managed virtually is now more of a compulsion than an option. Recently, the Ministry of Corporate Affairs has permitted conducting board meetings via video conferencing. Hence, corporates are no exception to this new normal. However, what has to be kept in mind in choosing mediums wherein the same can be recorded and retained as proof? In fact, this gives more room for the trial being conducted in a fair and just way, which is the conscience of the act. And the last question which I could think of is, do the perpetrators find online, perpetrator means those harassers, respondents, do the perpetrators find online platform a comfortable medium to be nasty and unpleasant? When the line between workplace and the personal life has blurred during the new normal and employees tend to let their guards down, some may feel that the usual workplace norms do not apply anymore. The sense of accountability or their behavior disappears, making the interactions more informal and sometimes inappropriate. Just excuse me, just let me have some water. Yeah. Employers need to take some time to remind them that organization policies are intact as long as their business runs. Ready access to alcohol during work hours also clouds the judgment, resulting in unacceptable behaviors. Challenges in monitoring workplace conduct, absence of witnesses and the concerned authorities, lack of knowledge in handling virtual harassments are some other reasons perpetrators find online platforms a very comfortable medium to be nasty and to be unpleasant in their undesirable activities. These all were the 5 questions I could think of and I have listed and replied. Let's see what is next. Why virtual sex harassment occurs? That's our next question. While physical and virtual sexual harassment often stems from the harasser's desire to control or intimidate the victim, online sexual harassment can have other intentions. Posting explicit photos or sexual information, whether it's true or not, is often meant to shame the victim. Some harassers may personally know the victim, have been turned down in person and are now retaliating online, which can spiral out of control. The lack of a physical link between the attacker and the victim makes it easier to say things one wouldn't in person. Sometimes, you don't have the courage to face to face say something to somebody, but you have enough courage to put it in writing. Send an email, write a strong letter, whatever you want. But if you have to say the same thing in person, you are not having that much courage. That's what exactly happens. For example, an employee who wants to ask another female employee for a date but is too afraid may send a sexually suggestive email instead because they don't have to face that co-worker in person. Additionally, when a harasser posts something publicly, other harassers may add fuel to the fire, even if they don't know that victim. The online posters may not know exactly who the victims are or see them in real life as real people. While traditional sexual harassment usually involved one harasser and one or more victims, online sexual harassment may include numerous harassers ganging up on one victim only. Right? It is something like simultaneously 4 or 5 people online are sexually harassing one poor lady. 5 examples of what constitute workplace sexual harassment in today's virtual world of work. The first is correction. Five examples of what can constitute workplace harassment in today's virtual world of work. First is blurring of personal and professional time while at home. There needs to be a discipline with regard to work. A manager cannot call up his employee after stipulated work hours for any clarification unless it is an emergency. Video and audio calls should be scheduled during work hours only. The second one, pressurizing employees with unrealistic delivery expectations. When work conditions are already tough enough, putting further pressure on workers may cause them to undergo undue stress and anxiety, affecting their performance furthermore. Third thing is being unmindful of professional boundaries. Initiating conversation or jokes while on audio or video calls can be deemed inappropriate and make others uncomfortable. Working from home has caused us to let our guard down, and it may not be possible to always ensure an uninterrupted or neutral background. Comments on the personal aspect of one's life at home may be uncalled for and cause discomfort to the people. Fourth thing is video calls beyond work hours. Insisting on video calls where necessary or video calls beyond working hours is inconvenient for employees as well as their families in the present situation of COVID. Moreover, doing so without the consent of the other person can make the other person really uncomfortable. And last one is clicking pictures. Clicking a picture while on call, video call, that means without her consent, and sharing it on any collaborative or social media platform may be another cause of discomfort for her. So much so for these 5 examples which constitute sexual harassment. Let's see next. How to prevent virtual sexual harassment. Virtual sexual harassment can be harder to detect because it takes place online, not out in the open. However, there are undermentioned ways to protect your employees from it. First is show your organization commitment to a harassment-free workplace. Write a strong sexual harassment policy and let employees know exactly what behaviors are not acceptable in remote work. Second point, enforce this policy without exception. Also encourage employees to offer their opinion on how to make your workplace safer when it comes to virtual sexual harassment. Third, encourage senior management to set the tone of anti-harassment at the top. This means living the company's values, taking complaints seriously, and being supportive of changes that could arise from an online sexual harassment incident. Fourth, most importantly, managers should never retaliate against an employee who reports misconduct. Fifth, encourage employees to speak up about virtual sexual harassment, make reporting harassment safe and easy. Next, sixth, offer multiple reporting avenues such as dedicated phone number, email address, and web form. And last, seventh one, above all, take real action when you receive reports. Ignoring reports or dragging your feet on investigation, tell your employees that you prioritize your company's image, over their safety. That means you are giving an impression that your safety is no concern to me. I am only prioritizing what are the company's image, right? So much so about how to prevent sexual harassment. Next is updating your sexual harassment training. Update your policy and training to include sexual harassment and circulate it to all employees. Second point is train employees about what digital conduct is and what is not acceptable, and how to identify online sexual harassment and how to report it. Third, include role-playing exercises for better understanding of this issue. Fourth, train employees in small groups, hosting separate sessions for managers and separate sessions for staff. Fifth, give participants a chance to offer feedback and ask them questions. Once you clarify their question, their mind will be absolutely clear. They will grasp it better. Craft your training program with focus on virtual sexual harassment and its consequences. Online harassment may be difficult to spot, but it is no less destructive than its physical form. These were the 7 points which I have just mentioned to you. Have a look at it. Now, next we come to updating sexual harassment. How can you make online sexual harassment training effective? These are the 7 points. With the following 7 steps, employers can ensure the design and development of online sexual harassment training that is truly effective. First point is walk the talk. Communicate and demonstrate organizational commitment in policy as well as in practice. Second point, create the right culture starting from the top. Third, consider your audience, including managerial responsibilities versus individual employee awareness. Fourth, choose the right format to ensure training that will stick to their mind. Fifth, provide a safe, open door environment for victims as well as for witnesses who are reporting. Sixth, make online harassment training for employees an ongoing exercise. And the last 7th point is go beyond compliance and consider customization. Whatever is written in this small booklet, this is the booklet on sexual harassment of 25 pages. Try and think over, go beyond what is written for compliance in this small booklet and customize your requirements. Next thing we come to is sexual harassment vis-a-vis work from home, analyzing the void in the PoSH Act. Right? PoSH Act was written not keeping COVID in mind. It was written in 2013. COVID has come in 2020-21. Well, quite rightly, there will be some voids, some gaps which need to be amended. Probably an amendment or a handbook separately as an annexure to it needs to be issued, no doubt. But it doesn't mean that unless that booklet is issued, we are not going to interpret it correctly and customize it and don't do our work. The work from home is not a standard practice in our country. It has just been forced to us because of COVID-19. PoSH Act is not capable enough to online sexual harassment prevention just like it does in physical workplace. As workplace definition within the Act creates ambiguity of language that leads to lack of knowledge to deal with sexual harassment in work from home situation. Several women have reported this confusion as to whether or not they should register online complaint of online sexual harassment under the PoSH Act. Many women are having a doubt that during COVID time, do we lodge a complaint or not? Why not lodge it? You will miss the chance if 90 days are over and COVID continues for another 2 years. You will not get the chance again to lodge the complaint. This doubt is there in their mind, so it must be clear. As the main functioning unit of PoSH Act is the Internal Complaint Committee who addresses the grievance of victims before onset of COVID-19. But we find this committee not efficient enough to work in lockdown. ICC committee is not sufficiently geared up to work during lockdown. Physically, they are not meeting. Everybody is at his home. A lot of coordination is required between the complainant, between the respondent, between the witnesses, and so on and so forth. As a result, it keeps getting postponed. God alone knows when the time comes, 90 days is over, what will they do? How will they handle the problem? Because it will become a time-bound case. Further, it was speculated that time period of 90 days for disposal of cases provided under the PoSH Act is difficult to maintain also. It might require up to a period of say 6 months for committee to dispose of cases. So this is one void in the PoSH Act, that during COVID, when lockdown is continuing, this 90 days may be relaxed to 180 days, 6 months. It is just my suggestion. Nobody is making it 6 months or so. It's my calculation how difficult it is to complete in 90 days. When in 90 days you hardly know anybody, meet and everybody is working from home in his own sphere. It's just my suggestion of 6 months. The decision of Internal Complaint Committee to conduct case hearing through video conferencing call can be very uncomfortable for women as they are in informal setting of their home, surrounded by their family members. Reporting sexual harassment complaint already takes a lot of courage to file a case, as there is a lot of social stigma attached to victim in such instances. When the inquiry is going on in the office premises in a closed private room, whatever she is speaking, other than the ICC presiding officer or member, nobody else is hearing it. In the premises of the house, her spouse, her children, in-laws, parents, brothers, sisters, so many people are roaming around. In front of them, will she be able to speak the same way which she is able to speak in that private room in the office premises? No, definitely not. Firstly, she will not have the courage to lodge a complaint under such circumstances. Even if she has the courage, she will not have the courage to speak out what she wanted to speak out in the environment of non-COVID days, in the office premises, in the privacy. The outbreak of pandemic and beginning of work from home has made work timing redundant. Employees are forced to work at unreasonable hours, late into night, under facade of work-related conversation. Male employees often harass female employees. Such acts are not explicitly monitored by the PoSH Act. Indian Penal Code 1860 IPC also has some provision like Section 354A, 354D, or Section 509 where online harassment can be addressed. But there is significant lack of awareness on provision of present in the IT Act 2000 or the IPC 1860. In online harassment, IT Act 2000 has certain clauses. I wonder if any ICC has ever read IT Act 2000. If they have read PoSH 2013, good enough. We say, thank you very much, good, you are doing a good job. But they are expected to know IT Act 2000 also. In this time of pandemic, where emergency-like situation is present in the country, it is unreasonably to expect sexually harassed to visit court for remedy which might take years to come to decision. So her protection provided under IPC is more difficult for victim to avail as compared to the protocol of reporting under PoSH Act. Bhamri Devi, raped in 92, lost the case in lower court in 95 due to the pressure of a Gujar MLA. 2021, half of it has passed. Till today, the Rajasthan High Court has not given a decision in her case. It's pending. So much is the prolonged delay by the judiciary. Where is the himmat of anybody to go and lodge a police complaint? Everybody says maximum PoSH Act, that's all. That's our Bible. If PoSH Act can't take care, then nobody else will take care in this emergency situation of COVID-19. A revised code of conduct to be imposed professionally on clothing, video conferencing to prevent colleagues from unreasonable messaging or calling, etc. Norms to conduct the professional etiquette should be extended to prevent such sexual harassment. If current situation domain of sexual harassment is shifted to virtual platform, members of internal complaint committee to be given training for not only virtual hearing but on cyber and IT laws to deal sexual harassment comprehensively. If we have to live through virtual working, well, it's high time that our ICC people are trained in cyber and IT laws. What can organization do to tackle virtual workplace harassment? First point is review your current harassment policy. Employers must have a robust, comprehensive, and uniform anti-harassment policy that applies equally to staff working from the office or at home. It should contain clear guidelines applicable to spoken and written words in emails, text messages, and even social media. Posts that may be viewed by customers, employees, etc. Inappropriate conduct during a video call should also be reported. With work from home becoming common, it is time to review the policies to ensure that they cover conduct beyond the physical workplace and incorporate digital channels as well. Next is train managers to look for signs of virtual harassment. Not all harassment complaints come directly to the management's attention due to hesitation or lack of awareness in reporting the same. Therefore, managers need to pick up signs of unreported harassment or misconduct. Here are a few things to look forward for. Employees suddenly become disengaged withdrawn or quieter during calls, inappropriate dressing by employees during a video call, offensive photos, decor, or signs in some employees' workplaces that are visible during a video call, use of inappropriate words or gestures during calls, and use of language in emails, public team chats. Managers need to be trained to look forward for such signs of virtual harassment. Third, provide a confidential channel to employees to report a problem and guarantee thorough investigation. Never ignore complaints about bullying behavior without a due investigation. Create a mechanism for employees to confidentially report any issues to the ICC or HR department without fear of retaliation. Your employees need someone to trust them, so listen to their problems and address them in the right way. Collect evidence from other employees regarding any instance of misconduct and report offenders to senior management for disciplinary action as appropriate. And last, fourth point, workplace anti-harassment training. Conducting anti-harassment awareness training sessions are vital to keeping virtual harassment at bay during remote working. Educate employees about the forms of workplace harassment. Encourage them to open up and take proactive prevention steps. This will help in upholding an open and liberal organization culture. With this, I come to the end of work from home vis-a-vis sexual harassment. I have tried my best to meet your requirement. If I have fallen short, I apologize. That's all I could speak on this subject. The subject is new. There is no literature available. Literature will come in due course of time. Probably it's high time PoSH Act amendment will come to cater for COVID days and so on and so forth. Right? Doesn't matter. I think you have understood what I wanted to say. Even if you have followed 50% what I have told, I am more than happy. More than happy. Now, 7 essential tips to strengthen your sexual harassment prevention training. What we'll do, we'll have a 10 minutes break right now. From here onwards, we'll start few more slides of this section and then 2 case studies and 3 exercises in the next one and doubt clearing session. Ma'am, shall we give 10 minutes break right now or we can continue 10-15 minutes more?
Sir, if you want, we can please continue because participants are eagerly waiting.
Beg your pardon, ma'am?
Sir, am I audible?
Yes, I can hear you.
Sir, if you want, we can continue the session because it is so much engaging and all the participants, they are giving wonderful response and they are eagerly waiting for the next part of it.
Okay. I'll give break little later. Seven essential tips to strengthen your sexual harassment prevention training. In fact, this was made earlier. In between now for virtual harassment, I have made so many slides. 80% of the material is already covered in that. However, we'll go through the salient heads. What are the points which I had written earlier? 7 essential tips. First one was conduct engaging and interactive training with talented and experienced trainers. Self-explanatory. Second was ensure that top managers participate in the live training and model appropriate behavior. If your CEO and other top managers don't buy into a culture of respect and zero tolerance, your company will constantly be fighting an uphill battle. Third, put your anti-discrimination policy in writing. Give every employee a copy of it and make sure they have actually read it. Highlight your zero tolerance policy and verify that everyone knows to whom reports of sexual harassment should be made. Fourth, enforce your zero tolerance policy. That means you have to investigate each and every complaint, no matter how suspicious or trivial it seems, and you must do it as soon as possible. Every complaint must be addressed in the same timely, impartial, and rational manner. Fifth, communication is vital. Although a victim of sexual harassment may need the protection of confidentiality, you must still communicate your findings. You should inform victim what your investigation revealed and what the consequences are going to be. Talk to the enablers of sexual harassment and warn them of your zero tolerance policy or perhaps impose consequences. You will also have to communicate your findings to top management so that appropriate actions are taken. If your investigation revealed that there have been an incidence of sexual harassment, you must impose consequences no matter who the harasser or the victim may be. This is an important point to understand. Generally, we say, don't start investigation against so-and-so. He is related to so-and-so big shot. He is a very important person for us. Things will come to a standstill if something happens, he is dismissed or suspended or transferred or something. Ignore it. That sort of pressure from top management always will come on the ICC. It is how correctly the ICC takes the stand and act. In some companies, certain employees may have been given a pass in the past because they were so valuable or indispensable to the organization. It is suggested that companies should begin treating sexual harassment as seriously as they would treat embezzlement of funds. An embezzler would be fired immediately, of course. Companies should impose the same consequences if the harasser happens to be a member of even the top management. Seventh point, HR must insist on a place at the management table. This may generally not be the normal practice in a company or industry or organization, but the CEO need to learn to value the importance of incorporating HR expertise into the management decisions. HR managers need to have access to top management and get their due respect. Then only they can resolve employment problems quickly with the full knowledge and approval of management. Any organization head who doesn't respect HR people the way they need to be respected, 50% of the problem will remain unresolved. He will also have no trust, no faith, no interest. He will also just mark his time and go away. Where HR people are effective, where they are respected, they are treated properly. Workplace sexual harassment faced by women and 6 tips to deal with it. They are here the 6 tips. Women generally resort to silence because endurance seems to less bitter medicine for them to taste. At the end, taking a step would mean not only jeopardizing their relationship with their superior, but even could pose a threat to their employment. Lack of support from colleagues and even women colleagues during legal proceeding is also one of the reasons why women step back from choosing the path of our long and frustrating judicial process. Legal cases become public records and can be available for anyone who is interested to read them, which can create more hurdles for future employers to hire them because no one wants to hire someone who was sued by somebody. Here are 6 tips to follow. Yes. No. Sorry. This was bogus call. First is do not ignore. Silence is not always the best defensive mechanism. If you ignore it with the hope that it will go away, it may actually escalate the issue. If you don't want to take the extreme step of recording your complaint, then you need to articulate explicitly what you feel in a clear but non-threatening manner. For example, if the perpetrator stares at you often, then don't look away but stare back and give him a dirty look till he'll start looking backward. For example, if he stands too close to you in the lift or chair, then simply turn around and look him in the eye and say, there is enough space around and I am sure you don't realize it, but you are crowding me here. Do you mind standing back a little? Thank you. Very curtly, she has to have the courage to say these many words. Your body language will set the boundaries for his interaction with you, and if he still does not understand it, then you can either disclose this to a more mature senior who can arrange a face-to-face meeting with your harasser to diffuse the matter. If things still don't solve, then you need to make a formal complaint. Second point, keep records. Start recording everything, whether it is CCTV footage, date, time, duration, nature of phone call, SMSs, emails. To start with, any desirous person will find some simple excuse to informally be friendly with you. Even if he is not working in your office or maybe working in a different city, he will find ways and means by his networking to have access to your personal biodata, which means access to your age, ethnicity, and marital status. This might give him a good opportunity to become over friendly with you by calling at ungodly hours just to chat with you. Maintain record of all those calls. When you lodge a written complaint against him, these records will come very handy as a proof of his causing harassment to you. Do not take back your complaint. Once you have decided that you have to lodge a complaint, go all out. Chances are high that the moment you file your complaint, immediate investigation will be initiated, as women harassment cases can really blemish a company's image. Chances can be there that assigned investigation officer or some member of ICC has been influenced by him, or ICC is not sensitive about your trivial issues. Don't be surprised if the ICC tries to find loopholes in your quality of work and interrogates about you as well as your personal lifestyle from other colleagues, clients, and line managers. If they are not able to find any visible problem in your work and their tactics fails, they will look for some other new tactics to be applied. They may try to apply other emotional strategies. Don't buzz from your ground and try to turn the table by asking them back as to how they would have felt if the same incidents would have happened with their sister or daughter. You taking back your complaint would not only weaken your image as an escapist, but also boost up the ego of the perpetrator and will give a green signal to him to try his stunts on some other woman also. Resort to law if you feel that the investigation was not fair. Well, law is always available to you if you feel that you are not satisfied with the finding. Any of the section 354, 354A, B, C, D, 354D, all these Indian Penal Code sections are available to you, and section 354B is a non-bailable crime, right? You can go and lodge the complaint. It's your organization responsibility to help you out in lodging the complaint. Normally women say कि हम तो कभी थाने में गए नहीं जी, FIR क्या होता है, हमें तो लिखवानी नहीं आती. Somebody knowledgeable from your organization must escort you to the police station and lodge a proper complaint. Fifth point, this too shall pass. This too shall pass means everything bad, everything good has passed. Whatever difficult time you are going through, this will also pass. No worry at all. Take it in its stride. Bright days will also come back. This is a crucial stage when you need to take care of your health, as your mental health is at the most vulnerable phase when you are going through such a rough time. Connect with your friends, family, or even professional counselor and do anything that can keep negative thoughts at bay. You convert into negative or toxic person would be the biggest victory for your abuser. Hence, hang on till the end. Last point, keep your plan B ready. Well, if you feel that the outcome of this entire process will put you in a radar and you are not comfortable with this attitude, shift among your colleagues and seniors. Then keep your resume and start all over again at some new place. Take help of those seniors who understand your issue and are on your side for your recommendation. Whoever does not leave your present job in his, however, do not leave your present job in a haste, and leaving without securing a better opportunity should be your last resort. Fight your battle and leave with dignity when you really have something good in your hand or in your basket rather than leaving empty handed. To conclude, workplace harassment that women face is not a recent phenomenon as it has existed centuries ago. Many women choose the convenient and comfortable path of compromising and bother a lot about consequences, whereas few who feel that their self respect is a non negotiable entity and stand up against it. Be happy that you come in that elite list of very few women who speak up and do not easily accept any nonsense. Workplace harassment costs. There are two type of costs. There are costs to the employee and cost to the employer. Let's see each one of them. First is cost to the employee. Emotional distress, for example, fear, anxiety, guilt, loss of self-esteem, embarrassment, anger, illness, which may be ulcer, headache, stress-related symptoms, exclusion from your group, loss of income, for example, increased absenteeism due to sexual harassment, loss of job even, disrupt your career. Then we come to cost to the employer. Your poor morale will going to cost the employer, low productivity, absenteeism, staff turnover, retraining, litigation, damaged public image, investigation costs, financial strength gets reduced, customer supplier relationships get bad, the company pride is hit. Cost to the organization as a whole. Those were the cost to the employer and the employee. We come to the cost to the organization as a whole. The need for employees to be off the job. Investigation cost of the sexual harassment complaint. Depositions, trade, low productivity due to diversion of focus. Negative impact on other managers, employees, and witness. Adverse publicity about the organization. Analysis of all these things. In the analysis, few points I have just listed. We have talked the whole day sexual harassment of women. Can you believe there is sexual harassment of men also? I have been a victim of it in some of the companies. There is no protection of male employees in PoSH Act. It should be there. No reference to protection from victimization. The constitution of ICC for different offices. So easy to say if you have 10 branches, 10 departments working in 10 different locations of the same city, you will have 10 ICC teams. People are not able to do that. I have seen a company, one lady from Bombay is the presiding officer. 4 times in a month for some inquiry or the other, she comes to Delhi rushing here. Delhi people don't know her face to face. They are reluctant even to lodge a complaint because they have never heard the name of that presiding officer, the lady. If it is one of you who have been there with you through thick and thin, they have more feeling of empathy. External representation within ICC. So easy to say that you will have one external member. I don't know. You have your own committee, ICC, Deepa Madam will know it. It's written in the law that external member, if it is some hi-fi, he will be paid 250 rupees per day, otherwise 150 rupees. Deepa Madam may bring in 1,000 rupees to that person to come for one day in the investigation. The law says pay 150 rupees. In 150 rupees, even a peon will not come for all day. Law बनाना बड़ा आसान है, तो analyze कीजिए उसकी problem कितनी है. Timelines may be unrealistic. Deterrence due to employer action for false or malicious complaint. Ability to deduct from harasser's salary. We have said that harasser's salary will be deducted and recovered to the district office. How? Areas of his land revenue. Somebody has not paid his income tax for 10 years. In that income tax of 10 years, sorry, not income tax, the house tax. Somebody has not paid for 10 years, he's already a defaulter. You add a couple of lakhs in that also, you have to pay to so and so woman for harassing her. He will never be able to pay, he will die, he will not pay. Very easy to say, recover this money from him through that way and pay it to the lady concerned. Absence of monetary liability on the part of the employer. No protection from other forms of harassment. Besides sexual harassment, there are other forms of harassment also taking place. There is just no mention of those harassments at all. This is what my analysis was. I want to share with you these few slides. I'll share it, we have time. Reasons women unwillingness to share or complain about the sexual harassment. You see, women are getting sexually harassed, but they maintain their silence. They don't want to come out with it for various reasons. Some I have taken from some books. Most of the point with my own experience, I have thought for each slide for hours and hours and written these points. Maybe some point may not be to your liking because it's my thought process, but I'll definitely like to share it with you. Individual traumas and realities of the world of work. Embarrassment and humiliation about the incidents. Fear that the matter will be trivialized and disregarded. A sense of insecurity that they will not be believed, as very often there is no proof of the incident. Hesitation that the institution will not take any action and the perpetrator will be allowed to go free. There is also a fear of being asked to leave or take a transfer, even if the harasser is found guilty. Dread of becoming a subject of gossip and further humiliation. A fear of negative repercussions and retaliation from the harasser or even the principal employer. A fear of being blamed for either inviting or even for raising the issue for redressal. A sense of complying with social norms where women are taught to keep silent and to overlook bad behavior by men. Sometimes the action is part of the problem. That's the second point. Women face not only the disproportionate experience of sexual harassment, but also have to bear the burden of speaking the truth. Suddenly, from being an employee, she becomes the girl who got sexually harassed. The name given is the girl who got sexually harassed. Today, they call you an employee of that organization. When colleagues see women as victims and do not extend their support, then action inevitably becomes part of the problem, and maybe that is why women never come forward to complain. Third point is you are asking someone to share their deepest pain. To get sexually harassed and then to officially complain, it's probably the deepest pain in a woman's life. Women who go through such a traumatic incident experience a huge wave of emotions. They get bewildered, depressed, and anxious. Their whole life turns totally upside down. Colleagues and members of the internal committee must be careful of the fact that they are asking women to share their deepest pain. One wrong comment can add more to her existing mental suffering. They have to be very sensitive to it. Fourth point, mental fear of being asked insensitive and insensible questions. Sometimes members of the internal committee and colleagues ask questions regarding the incidents in a way That is extremely insensitive. Asking question is not wrong. It's part of your duty. You have to do the investigation and write the report. Of course, it is a part of the procedure and essential for the woman to speak about it. But the concern here is the tone, the manner, the language of the question that are asked. The question should be empathetic and carefully drafted so that women do not feel embarrassed and uncomfortable in answering them. One soon forgets the question which was asked, but one rarely forgets the style and the tone with which that question was asked. Importantly, one needs to be a careful listener. Fifth, retaliation, loss of opportunities, friends, time, and income. The fear of retaliation or victimization causes most women to avoid filing a complaint itself. Retaliation can take many forms. Sometimes they will be denied important projects and important assignments. They may also be asked to report earlier than necessary and stay back late in the evening without any specific work justification. At some workplaces, just the desk of the aggrieved woman or their usual seating places are just changed when they file a sexual harassment complaint and nothing happens after changing the seat. Moreover, women also feel alienated because of the unsportive behavior of their colleagues simply because they do not want to get into a mess. Another factor is when women go through such incidents, there are series of investigation and procedures to follow. Most of their time is spent in following up on their complaints. Women who face retaliation are not instantly fired. However, their lives at the workplace become so difficult that they end up quitting the job themselves. With this, I come to the end of section 6. Now, section 7 is 3 exercises and 4 case studies for discussion. If you want, I'll continue. If you want 5 minutes break, please tell me. I'll give you that break. Shall I continue, ma'am?
Sir.
Continue?
Yes, sir. So if you want to take a break for water or something.
I just want to go to the toilet, washroom for 2 minutes. That's all. I want a break. Give me just 2 minutes. That's all.
Yes, surely, sir. Sure. Meanwhile, I request all the participants to kindly send your queries so that we can start the question and answer section.
Exercise 1 is this sexual harassment or not? Well, the diagram itself indicates to you this is sexual harassment. This is little story. Arvind and Akshi are part of a team at an organization. Akshi reports to Arvind. Arvind constantly tells Akshi that they should go out somewhere after work hours, perhaps for a late night movie or dinner. Akshi is uncomfortable but smiles and says she is busy most often. One day, Arvind tells Akshi that if she turns down his request, her rating will go down in her monthly review. Is this a sexual harassment or not? Anybody can answer it. Any of the student, if they can answer it, because it is of student level. I have made all these exercises and case studies, not for staff, not for senior members, not for executive and officers. Student, any student. Akhilesh Kumar, roll number 802. Raise hand. Hanji.
So the students are writing in the chat box. Yes, yes, they are giving the responses.
Okay, they are giving responses. Wonderful, ma'am.
Yes.
It is a sexual harassment. I just want to make them a little familiar with what sort of scenario happens in the actual organization, how things work out. Second one. Neha is part of a team that reports to Neeraj, who is her colleague's senior, college senior. Neha is very good at her work and is assigned the most prestigious project in the company instead of Neerav, who is a senior in the team and has a lot more work experience than Neha. Neerav is very upset and believes that Neha has been assigned the coveted project because they must be having a relationship. He jokes about this with other team members, and slowly this spreads around in the company. Is this a sexual harassment or not? If it is a sexual harassment, what type of harassment is it? There are two types I have taught you. The student, anybody can answer it.
Yes, sir. The students are answering as yes, yes, yes. Bullying, yes.
It is sexual harassment. Eh?
Yes.
What
Bullying.
type of it? Sexual harassment? Two types I have told you.
Sir, mostly the answers I can see bullying as the response.
Quid pro quo is one of them. Hostile environment is another type. Which is which one? Any student? It is hostile. It is hostile. Absolutely right. You have followed what I have taught. Good. Third small exercise. Reshma just joined as a fresher and has been undergoing training. One of the trainers was Rashid, who was handling the new product development. Reshma wanted to be part of his team and approached him. On seeing her enthusiasm and performance, Rashid ensured that she would be joining Rashid's team after her training finishes. Reshma joined Rashid's team. Rashid asked Reshma out for dinner a few times and she agreed willingly. Slowly the workload increased, and once when Rashid asked Reshma to go out for dinner, she refused. Rashid continued to keep calling her and sent her multitude of emails. Is this a sexual harassment or not? Think over.
Yes, sir. I'm receiving the responses as yes, yes.
Yeah, you can see I can't. Most of them are saying yes.
Yes, sir.
Great. Very, very knowledgeable students. Very good. I'm happy. Fourth one. Miss Suman sent across pictures of some scantily clad woman to Mr. Saurabh. Saurabh requested Suman not to send him such obscene pictures in future as he was not comfortable with the same. But Suman continued. Is this an example of hostile environment sexual harassment?
No, sir. Mostly the answers are as no.
Most of them are saying no. Well, my dear student, I just mentioned to you it's not only women who get sexually harassed, men also get sexually harassed. It's not women harassment, it's men getting harassed.
So
Right?
now some responses are yes.
I gave you an example. I have been myself a victim. I had a HR manager in a company. I'm just extending my thought process with you what I'm saying. I was a HR manager of a company. I gave my HR manager a task in 10 days time. Company grievance handling procedure draft may be made and put up to me for my approval. Well, she was a MBA, first division, from a good college. She did not know ABC of the subject, nor she tried to take some book or anything. And she started getting friendly with seniors to me. The senior to me was only one person. I was the vice president of 6 companies. That was the managing director of the company. Right? Most of the time, she will take shelter of that gentleman. If I say, hey, please meet me at 3 o'clock with the draft so-and-so, I'll find she's chit-chatting with the MD in his office. What can I do? At times, I rang her up in MD's office. What is my manager doing there? I had given her some task and discussed with me. Please send her to me. He says, wait, hold on. She's busy here. I said, what is keeping her busy? Why have you called her without my knowledge? I am her boss. Please send her. He will not send. One day the things went to that extreme. I resigned at 15 minutes notice as vice president of 6 companies and became a professor. As a director, I joined in the same sector, few yards away, a college as a director, leaving the company. It happened in Noida. Right? After 1 year, when that delivered a boy, she proved that this boy belongs to that MD. And she taken a compensation of 70 lakhs outside the court to settle the issue. That is the day MD remembers and rings me up, यार हम बच्चे थे भूल गए यार तुम्हारे साथ चलना था unnecessarily आपको फोर्स किया आप 15 मिनट पे रिजाइन करके चले गए 70 lakhs has gone down the drain. I'm just sharing this. This is the limit of harassment to men also. I lost my job. I have no regrets because none of the company policies, rules, factory act, nothing was followed. 6,000 ladies working, out of them 3,000 are ladies, 3,000 are gents. They are stitching clothes on the machine till 1 o'clock at night. The factory act says between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. no woman should work there. No woman should work for more than 9 hours. They came in the morning at 8:30 and they are going back at 1 o'clock at night. To drop them back, the company vehicle is required. They are going walking to their village 4-5 kilometers away at 1 o'clock at night. Young unmarried girls. If something happens, पकड़ लो ब्रिगेडियर साहब को ले जाओ जेल में यार. ब्रिगेडियर साहब आपको पता नहीं है कानून फैक्ट्री एक्ट में लिखे हुए हैं. आप तो IIT दिल्ली से MBA हैं with 90% मार्क्स. आपको पता होना चाहिए. कोई राइटिंग में नहीं देंगे कि ओवर टाइम नहीं देना, कोई ओवर टाइम नहीं देंगे, कुछ नहीं. It is all sexual harassment to me. I have no regret that I left corporate world and I became a professor, dean, director, whatever it is. I changed my line. Income is not everything. Income is not everything. I may be getting 1/3 of the salary in a college professor than what I was getting as a vice president of 6 factories. Right? Chalo, I have shared my thought process with students. They know it, what type of culture they will face in the companies when they join. Fifth, Abha was entering the elevator and Ashutosh came up from behind, tapped on her shoulders and told her that she looked very hot and sexy today in that red dress. Abha felt uncomfortable, stared at Ashutosh and firmly told him to keep his hands off and to use discretion in his language. Ashutosh sincerely apologized and it never happened again. Is Abha being sexually harassed by Ashutosh? Is this an example of hostile environment?
So there's a mix of answers for no and yes.
Let's read once again. Abha was entering the elevator and Ashutosh came up from behind, tapped on her shoulders and told her that she looked very hot and sexy today in that red dress. Abha felt uncomfortable, stared at Ashutosh and firmly told him to keep his hands off and to use discretion in his language. Ashutosh sincerely apologized and it never happened again. Is Abha being sexually harassed by Ashutosh? Right? If there are mixed answers, I am quite prepared to accept it. It's, the way you look at it. You see, once he was going astray, he touched her, he tapped her on her back or something, whatever it is, on her shoulder, and thereafter he never did it. He understood and he never sexually harassed thereafter. Otherwise, it was going towards sexual harassment if he was repeating it every day. Right? Okay. The last case, Chianti and Jacob joined together as trainees. After 1 year, Jacob started asking Chianti to go out with him, which she refused. Jacob sent a message that I love you and you are my life. Chianti was shocked and was so frightened and she took 2 days off from her work. Jacob sent out another message. Where are you, my sweetie? I miss you a lot. Chianti filed a harassment case against him. Jacob cares for Chianti and wants a relationship with her. Is this sexual harassment or not?
Majority of the responses that I'm receiving is no.
It's not a sexual harassment case.
A few answers are yes as well.
How can you send a message to some girl, you are my life, I love you
Sir,
so much, right?
There's one
Isn't it asking too
response
much?
which says that if Jayanti has expressed her.
Jacob sent another message. Where are you, my sweetie? I miss you a lot. How can you call sweetie? These are sexually colored remarks. 1 year jail can be there just for writing sweetie to anybody like that. I love you, you are my life, and so on and so forth. This is sexual harassment. Definitely it's sexual harassment. And
Yes, sir.
Next, exercise 2. Is your work environment free from sexual harassment? Each one of you participant, 128 of you are here, as many as you can get a paper, page, pencil or something, keep it ready. I'm going to flash 10 questions to you and you have to write yes or no answer. Either yes or no. What to do, we'll see later. We'll come to know whether your organization where you're working, are you people getting sexually harassed or it is harassment-free environment. Whichever organization you have come, I know not everybody is from same place. Professor Kokila, HR head of JSS is attending. I hope she is still here. She has come on my invitation and she is attending. I saw her name in the morning. I wish she is still here. Kokila ma'am, are you there? Kokila Saxena ji, she might have left after lunch. Morning she was there, I saw her. HR head of GSS Academy. Doesn't matter. Is your work environment free from sexual harassment? Most women themselves fail to recognize sexual harassment and treat it as trivial and routine. Take a look at the checklist below and fill a check mark this to an appropriate box. Take a paper. Since you don't have this checklist and other thing in front of you, you just say 1 yes, 2 no, 3 yes, 4 no, 5, whatever it is, yes, no, keep writing against these 10 questions. After reading it, time given to you for 5 minutes.